Good morning, RegenAG Nation. We are welcoming you here. Blustery cold day, feeling like fall. We are just finishing up the season. Part of that is creating some of the bed mixtures for next year. Now, what you're looking at is not necessarily a fertilizer mixture, but this is more of a crop protection type of a mix that we're putting together. This is going out on some of the smaller trials, but essentially what we're working on here is biofumigation. And we're utilizing products in those bed mixes to accomplish certain agronomic goals, right? We're providing solutions for growers. So what are those things specifically that we need to take care of? In this scenario, we're looking at nematodes and we're looking at soil disease mainly. So by utilizing these combinations of products, many of which are essential oil-based or some kind of other natural material, there's a ton of research behind these specific combinations and why they're able to accomplish this goal. At the same time, we're not doing as much harm to the soil overall like we would with traditional fumigation that kind of just blasts the whole microbiome. So we're specifically targeting diseases like pink root, verticillium, some of these others that can be a big bear in the soil. Also working on utilizing things that will reduce eggs and nematodes and things like that. So check this out. We're just about wrapped up, and we'll send this out to be mixed with the fertilizer and go down in the bed mix. All right, so what's that look like in terms of EIQ numbers? Well, we only have one product in this mix that would even register on an EIQ scale. The rest of them would be essentially a 0. EIQ overall at a field use level is going to be the general EIQ score times the amount of product that you're utilizing in the field. So if that was 25 and you're putting a gallon down, you would multiply that out to get a field use total, which is then added up throughout the season to provide an overall EIQ score for the field. With something like this, we've got a zero, and probably what's going to amount to about a 5-point score total on this biofumigation stand. So many of these fumigates that we're utilizing currently are anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 points just by themselves based on the utilization rate and what we're doing. This specific mix that we're putting together is going to be an EIQ score of maybe 10 points total. So if we're able to fundamentally and agronomically solve these same challenges and do it with way more sustainable products, then it's a win for everybody. Farmers, the soil, and ultimately the consumer. All right, so now what we want to do is I want to take you guys up, give you an overhead footage view from a drone perspective, just so you can see this process kind of unfolding. So what you got here is you got the liquid bed mix in, that's the fertilizer, that's the biofumigants. It's going down through those little bars. They're shanked in as the tractor's kind of going across the field. And just check this out a little bit so you can see how this process unfolds. All right, so we are actually out here in the field. We're gonna capture some footage here today, just kind of update you guys, show you the next part of the process. As you look into this side of the field, we've applied a residual kind of breakdown. We're gonna break down some of this wheat stubble, kind of turn it in. This field's been worked so that it's not so cloddy. Remember, we're trying to create really clean seed beds. We're trying to reduce diseases and insects and things like that going into this fall. Plus apply some fertility, put that down so we've got some units banded out there in row. Now, if you want to look, the side dresser or the bed up, the fall bed up implement has gone through in this section, and they're just getting ready to come back down the other way. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking that liquid mix and we're putting it down strategically where it's going to be in between the beds for next year. So if we're planting, we've got a bed of onions and we're planting on both sides, that mix is going to go right down the middle of it. Again, on the same bed, we're going to have two bands planted there, and the mix is going right down the center. So what we're doing is we are banding phosphate mostly from that standpoint, so we can strategically get that near the root system, but also we've applied kind of our biofumigant materials to that. So we're going to knock down pathogens, insects, diseases that may be causing us issues with these onions going forward. So this bed out's kind of symbolic because it's the last thing that we're going to finish up at the end of the season, right before we go into the winter. We're catching it right at the tail end. We're at the very end of October here, and the weather's sort of turning on us, so it looks like we're going to get this completed just in time, put it to bed as the implement suggests, and then we'll just kind of ride it out into next season. So thanks for joining us. We look forward to updating you in the spring and taking this thing and carrying it all the way into harvest.